the Harbir Singh podcast.
It's a huge honor for me to have Viraj Juneja on the show today. He's a friend and an actor, somebody who I follow on Instagram. If you're not following him, that's the first thing you should go and do. It will be the highlight of your day, bring you humor, make you laugh, brighten your day, and we could all do a little bit more of that.
There's enough there for the week.
Before we go any further, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. The more interaction we have with this video, the more the video can get out to more people, reach more people, and we can get more eyes on this content. So thank you in advance for that. Viraj, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man.
I wanted to record the bit we did before this because I found everything you say really funny, but I think
I suddenly feel like, you know, when you said I saw the 3, 2, 1, I was just suddenly tensed up and I was just like a different person to that pre-convo chat. But I'll try to just be myself still.
How do you switch on? Like, how do you go from, with acting, how do you go from being yourself to...
It depends. That's a really interesting question because recently the project I was on, here we go, I'm going to plug myself already, A Little English, a feature film, coming soon. That was a character that's probably been just exploring like a really different side to me. He's a kid who is he's probably seen as a bad egg, but for me, you don't, obviously as a person you can't play your bad egg. You play the emotion, and he's been sort of ignored, and there's a lot of pent up frustration there. And so for me, it was really emotional journey. And so I would literally say to like an hour before a scene, I'd be like putting my headphones in, I'd be having banter with my people and friends, and then suddenly be like, right, no one talks to me, I'm going into that room for like an hour to whatever, like don't come and even look at me, because you just kind of you figure it out, that process, and different characters will bring up different things, and you'll know what you have to do to reach a certain point. So yeah, but if it's more like a sort of a so my other film I played, it's called Get Juked on Amazon Prime, and I played this. Have you seen it, by the way?
Not yet, but I'm going to watch it tonight.
Wow, that's the sign of a great podcast host, man. Look at that. I play a character who's very much out there. He's extroverted. He likes to rap about a certain body part of his and make rhymes about it. And I was showing it to my friend the other day. It came out last year. So there was like literally that first week, I watched it like 11 times with different family friends and groups, and I hated it. By the end of that week, I was like, this is the worst film ever. I hate it. But I literally watched it 2 days ago with another friend, and I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. And then she turned to me and she just went, but you weren't acting. That was just you. That was yourself. And my friends have said that to me as well. They're like, that was just you though. That's your personality. So I think for that project, I was able to just relax and just know that that's within me, and I can do that. So it really depends on the job and the character.
It sounds like you have to get into character. When two questions off the back of that, do you feel like the character has an impact on you, like it changes you, or do you feel like you are making the character fit around yourself? Does that make sense?
I think it's a mesh. It's a compromise, not a compromise, but it's like a fusion of both. It's a collaboration, because obviously you've been hired to do this job because, you know, you can send this script to hundreds of actors, right? And every time you're going to get a take, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. The same lines, 100 people will say differently because everyone comes from different walks of life. Everyone's been influenced through different things. So this line might mean something to me, whereas to you it's nothing, or vice versa. Or there might be a bit of, you know, little masala on it that you're adding that I might not see. So I feel like you're bringing your own experiences and your own sort of influences to this character, but at the same time you're experiencing things that you might not have experienced, or you're putting yourself in a frame of mind that maybe a part of you you've tried to lock away, or you don't see yourself as this person, but you're really tapping into that. And so yeah, there's been times where I've been left almost, you know, it takes some time to get out of that as well, especially the emotional scenes that I mentioned before. It can take like maybe half hour, 40 minutes of just getting out of that scene and forgetting it and being like, okay, that's the scene, that's done now, let's move on, because you've really kind of put yourself in a state of mind, or really sort of encompassed an emotion or a part of you that you wouldn't usually tap into as much frequently, or you've put those shoes on. So it takes a while to get them off, really.
I'm making notes so that I can come back to some questions that are coming up into my head.
I thought you were just playing like a little Sudoku. You got bored of me talking or something.
Yeah. With the audition process, that's probably a process that not many people out there could handle. Getting that much rejection. Not saying that you get a lot of rejection, but
no, it's true. We all do. Yeah.
And having to put yourself out there and having somebody judge you like that day to day, people don't really have that experience. So how do you manage that?
I think for me, I've never really seen it as people judging me. I've just seen it as, this is what I'm going to do with, like I said to you before, like, you give me this script, every person who walks in that room is going to say it differently, right? So this is just my interpretation. You've asked me to come here today. Usually the casting director will say, thank you for coming, because, it's a collaboration, it's a process. Again, you're working with them, you're not working for them. And this is just how I've prepared the scene. This is how I see it. And this is my interpretation. And if that fits with their vision or process, or if they think that will work for their project as a whole, which could rely on thousands of different factors that some of them aren't even related to what you're doing. It could be, do you look like the guy who's playing the dad? Or the guy who's playing the brother or the mum? Do you fit in that family? Are you, whatever. So I've just seen it as, this is my interpretation. I'm not putting sort of my confidence in you. I'm not giving you that power to say, oh, you're judging me, you're telling me if I can act. There's a certain degree of self-belief you have to have, and you develop a thick skin, because at times that self-belief gets absolutely battered and beleaguered and wears so thin that you consider, is this the right thing for me? But you have to just, that self-belief has to really persevere. So that for me is the biggest thing, just knowing that it's a process. I'm coming in today because this is my version of it. If it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There are times when you feel desperate because, oh my God, this character in his description, it says he's Indian and he's, from West London. I was going to say my hometown. I don't want to give that out, but is he from West London? That's for me. It's meant for me. Oh my God, this is my kismet, my destiny to play this part. And then when it doesn't happen, you're like, you're left with nothing, because you've put everything in that. But if you I've learned over the past year as well, because of COVID and lockdown, just do your bit. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not meant to be. But just know that you've prepared for it, but don't put all your eggs in this basket, because otherwise what you're left with.
So you found a system of depersonalizing it, right? So it doesn't impact you spiritually and emotionally and psychologically to a significant degree.
I mean, to be fair, in the past, it really has. It really, really has. At times, it's been like, you'd come home and lock yourself in your room if you didn't get it. And because I'd put so much into it, and you start dreaming, and you start, there was one last year that I didn't get, literally under those circumstances that I described, about the character being what I'd felt was like a perfect match. And when it didn't go my way, I felt so lost. And it was like I started having dreams that actually, my agents phoned me and said, no, they got it wrong, the part is for you. And I'd be so happy, and then I'd wake up and feel sick because, oh my God, this isn't true. And maybe it was the whole thing to do with the lockdown as well, not being able to get out and sort of distract myself. But I've learned, I think you have to go through it to learn and to know that this isn't the way to live. But I think that also transcends into why I make my own work, because it gives me that power back. At the end of the day, creatives are self-employed. So are you employing yourself? At the end of the day, are you employing yourself? Doesn't mean you have to, earn money for it, but are you employing yourself to do something, to exercise those creative thoughts and those creative fibers in your body? Are you giving yourself a chance to work on something?
That's really interesting. I'm trying to process that, and I'll edit out the gaps.
No, it's cool. Leave them in, man. People will be doing the same at home.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm trying to think of.
It's just like the whole. It's like the whole permission thing. It's just like, of course, you have to earn money to survive and whatever. But also, if we're talking about manifesting and putting in this work and laying the ground roots, you have to do that yourself, right? You don't get paid to go to drama school. Okay, some people might get a bursary, whatever, but generally no one's going to pay you and say, hey, go and train, go and follow your dreams. You have to grind. You'll have to put that effort in, and time and emotion, because this is what you love doing. And I think you'll figure it out one way or another, what you're meant to do.
I appreciate you being so raw and honest. And I think that's what I'm taken back by, because I haven't seen the side of you. Because we always usually just.
This is what I mean. This is why I was saying to you, like when you asked me before, what topics do you want to talk about, and I said I think it's just as important for me to talk about what I do when I'm not acting as when I am, because that's part of being an actor or a creative, is not actually being paid to do anything. And so that's when you have to have the most discipline and motivation to say, I'm going to make something happen here, or I'm going to work on something. Because if you don't, and you're stuck in your head and your thoughts, and you go on Instagram and someone's posted a picture and they're doing really well, and you start comparing, even though, do you know what I mean? They're different walks of life. They've got a different trajectory in life and whatever they've done. But you start comparing and thinking, oh, I should be like that person. And why aren't I getting the same opportunities? Why am I not working? And then you just kind of you lose yourself in this spiral, in this rabbit hole that that you're not good enough and you're not valued. And so I think that's just the biggest part, is the mental health, and just knowing that you are good enough. And as long as you keep going and you keep working and you keep dreaming and believing, then the universe will in you as well.
So first of all, when did you become so stoic? Secondly, was this something that you trained yourself in, or was this something that you picked up at drama school in terms of this mindset and this paradigm? Because I could imagine without it, people would really, in any field, they would really struggle, and with it, success is inevitable, right? If you have that.
Yeah, because also I think that's a really sort of a trigger word, success. What does it mean? To different people, it's different things. Are you looking at long-term success? Are you looking at, short-term? Are you looking at what is a successful day? That's what I've sort of broken it down to. I've got long-term goals, I've got short-term goals, but I think the biggest sort of, if I get home, if I sit at home all day and I don't really do anything, I'll be so annoyed. Why? Because it's not been a successful day. Okay, what is a successful day? Knowing that I've either gone to the gym, that's like my anchor to know that I've worked on myself physically in some way and mentally. If I've looked at my notes of some ideas that I have, if I've maybe watched a film to stay in that creative bubble environment, or to get inspired somehow. There's little things that I think I know and I've developed over time to really sort of make a checklist of what is a successful day for me moving forward. Because if you want to achieve your long-term goals, that's broken down into short-term, that's broken down into what you're doing in today or the next hour or the next minute. So I feel like if you're working towards something long-term, why aren't you sort of doing why aren't you doing the 1%? Why aren't you doing the minuscule details that you have control over, really? And
is that system or thought process something you figured out for yourself, or is that something that you had some help with?
No, I think it's something that I've figured out myself. It's just something that I know that from experience, just of maybe being a bit younger and going out and having a good time or whatever, but not really having a good time, on not really being there, because I'd have this guilt of like, what are you doing? Like you're partying or you're drinking, whatever, but what have you done? What are you celebrating? Are you celebrating the fact that you just made it to another day? But okay, but what meaning are you giving yourself here? Like, why have you earned this drink or this night out or whatever? Like, even I mean, it sounds awful, because it was awful at the time, like even going to a friend's house and just chilling there, sitting and having a good time. It's just like I was never really at ease, because I knew that there's so much that I want to do long term, that I talk about so much, and I really visualize, and I'm so passionate about when I talk. But what am I doing to achieve that, like right now or today? What have I done to achieve that? What steps have I taken towards that? And if it was nothing, oh my God, it was just like, right, I'm gonna have to find a way to go home early here and just to satisfy this this discomfort almost. So it's not really something I've seen or I can quote. It's just this feeling that I've had for as long as I can remember, really.
I wanted to ask you about that comparison being the thief of joy. And I noticed with myself, for example, I've looked at certain YouTube channels, and I think, oh, that channel is massive, and then I think, well, that person's like not there anymore, right? Like they're not even producing videos anymore; they've disappeared, and you kind of feel like it's good to stay in your own lane and not worry about what other people are doing. Just focus on what the long-term vision is for yourself. But how do you escape like seeing somebody and seeing someone blow up and think, well, you know, I'm better than them, or you know, I work harder, and you know, but I'm not there where they are.
I think, yeah, of course that can happen. It goes back to the, you know, the social media comparisons and what parallels we draw between ourselves and other people. And yeah, I have thought that at times, like, oh, why is this guy, you know, why is their videos getting so many views? I don't even find that funny or whatever. But then I look at it and I think, okay, what content are they producing? What is their work that they're pushing? And that might speak to an audience that is very social media orientated, whereas my audience might not, or my work is a particular niche market, or I know that if in my opinion, if my quality of work or writing or whatever is higher in my own standard, I'd be more, if I put like a video out that compensated my standards and my beliefs and my sense of humor, or whatever it is that I'm creating, if I compromised in any way to just sort of satisfy people online, and say if that video got so many more views, like I would feel so bad if I went on that video like every day and saw it blowing up and knowing that actually I'm not comfortable with that. Like this isn't me. I've literally just sold myself out to speak to a few people here, to a larger audience. So I feel like I'd be happier with the smaller views or whatever, and slowly, gradually build it up, rather than create a video that in my head isn't really that good because I'm trying to compensate and trying to really sort of bend over backwards for people, and that blows up, then what, people will kind of expect the same thing from you, and you have to go again and do that thing, and then you're really sort of almost slowly edging towards away from what you were trying to become, and what change you were trying to make, or what different style of video you were trying to produce, and you've conformed, and now you're at the norm, and now you're just another number, and now you're just another person that you'd be like, oh, that person isn't funny. So yeah,
I have that.
You just have to trust in your own work.
And that's really interesting what you say, because I feel like it comes back to what you were talking about earlier around what the definition of success is. And you know, I've made some YouTube videos where I think, if my kids saw this, I don't know how they would, like, whether they would feel proud of this video. And you think, actually, well, if you stay in line with your own value system, then the content might get less views, but at least you feel like you're staying within your own value system, as opposed to compromising yourself just for the sake of views.
Yeah.
And I actually read an article a couple of years ago, and it was about people, I don't know why I read this, but people dying while taking selfies. So they had a guy who's flying a plane, and he's trying to take a selfie, and he crashed. And, you know, people do these types of things for views, right? And I think that's a dangerous lifestyle when you're just trying to do something.
I think it's also, I sometimes I watch people, sometimes I see people online and I feel sorry for them, because they've been elevated to this status where they feel like they have to show everything, and everything they do, every moment of their lives really has to be recorded and filmed. And as someone who's trying to stay connected to this moment and really working on being grounded, almost, like, that's a big that's a major opposite, right, of having to always show and doing it for what, to keep people engaged, or people you feel this. I feel like I don't know for sure, but I feel like they feel this need to constantly entertain or constantly show. And, like, I'm just thinking, everything that you've done in a day, we'll see. So we know that you've not done anything else apart from that. And we'll know on the days that you don't do anything that you've not doing anything, because you haven't posted about it.
Yeah, I was thinking of Jake, I don't know if you've seen that when you said that, because with people like the Paul brothers, they need to do more and more extroverted things in order to keep public's attention, and they need to raise more and more controversy in order to get the views and keep that attention. I think that's what a lot of people are. The prize is people's attention, and I guess certain things like whatever they talk about in media, I think it's sex, drugs, or violence. Those are the things that tend to get people's attention and tend to get eyeballs. So I guess that's probably one school of thought.
I'll be honest, I hadn't even heard of Jake Paul before, like a couple of months ago, when someone said that this guy's fighting. Was it Mayweather he fought?
Logan Paul fought Mayweather. Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm not even too well informed about that. But yeah, and do you know what? For me, it's these videos I see online where people are doing like pranks and stuff in public. And it started off as sort of basic things, but then everyone has to go and top it, and they have to get bigger. Because if you do the same thing, people are going to think, "Oh, I've seen this before. Why don't I need to watch this video?" So you've got to do something different, and you have to, your titles have to be clickbait. And oh my god, look what happens when this woman, slaps me and whatever. And it's just like, when's it going to end? And I feel like these apps as well, like especially for younger kids, have given them this easy, accessible stardom or fame almost, by always recording things or, just not even letting people live their own lives. If you see someone walking down the street and they're doing something, whatever, you have to record it. Oh, what's this guy doing? Oh, look, what's this guy doing? Can you not just leave that guy alone and let him live his own life? I'm sure he will know if he's doing something out of the ordinary. You don't know his backstory, you don't know where he's come from, you don't know why he's, say, for example, walking like that or whatever. So that's dangerous, I think, going forward as well, because we continue to celebrate these people and we continue to reward them with views and likes, which really they don't mean anything, do they?
Yes, and the number of people creators who suffer from anxiety and depression and self-medicate with over-the-counter or illicit illegal drugs is massive, because that isn't going to fulfill somebody on a deeper level, that notoriety and those views. And I was thinking of happy slapping. I don't know if you're too young to remember that, but
I do remember that.
It got to a point where some people were killed. People filming it and attacking people, and there were deaths around it. And women, I saw videos of women getting attacked, and it's for the sake of what? It just goes to what you were saying.
People trying to go internet famous. People trying to go viral. That's the aim. Let's go viral. Let's get views. Do you see how many views I got?
Yeah, so I think it is really important to have some protocols and some boundaries around social media, especially for the younger generation, and probably around just this whole new ecosystem of social media and putting yourself out there on the internet. But going back to the acting, I wanted to ask you about, there's going to be young aspiring actors who are going to be watching this. What was the process like for you?
So, I think the first thing is to sort of pinpoint where I sort of knew I wanted to pursue this, and this came from doing loads of school plays at school, and just wanting to get involved at any opportunity to perform, and just even like in class, if there was a bit of role play, right? Yeah, I want to do it. All right, Viraj will do it. We know Viraj will do it because that's what he does, really. So just knowing that I had that. People, my mum calls it attention seeking. She might not be wrong. Do you know what I mean? It might be a detention thing, but that's how it started. Obviously, it's developed into something a bit more respectable, I hope. But just always wanting to be just doing something active and being at the front of the class and performing and things like that at school. I love doing that, and then obviously that transcended into school plays and performing and singing on stage and doing some really weird stuff at the time that people, I remember doing a school play called Hairspray the musical, and we came in to do, there was a day of rehearsal where you did your first show and you didn't have to go to lesson, so we came in dressed in our own clothes, and I walked through the school gate and my friends were like, "Oh, what are you wearing your own clothes for?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, because I'm doing a rehearsal for the school play Hairspray." And they were like, "What do your parents know about that?" Yeah, they're cool, yeah. Was that a bit gay though? And it's just like, all right, cool, man. Listen, you think, all right, why don't you come watch it? Why don't you come watch it? You tell me what you think. And I remember this one guy who said that he came and he watched it and he was like, bro, that was sick, man. Can you tell me when the auditions for the next players? And I was just like, yeah, cool, man. All right. So I feel like there's a mentality that people are like, oh, if especially for guys, if you're doing anything that's creative or musical or artsy, then it's a bit you're seen as a bit weird or whatever. But until they actually see the work, like, it's a completely different story. And you'll know yourself. Don't be put off. Don't be put off by that. Don't be put off by being a bit different to everyone else. Like that's such a gift. That's such a gift. I saw this quote recently. It just said, like, embrace not being normal or something like that. I've really paraphrased terribly that, but it just, yeah, embrace your weirdness. That's what's going to make you you. That's what's going to make you stand out. That's what's going to give you, like I said, when those 100 people say those lines on a script, your weirdness, your life experience, your energy and your vibe, that's what's going to create a totally different, unique interpretation that might get you somewhere, might get you the job or whatever. So embrace that. I've totally digressed. I'm sorry.
This is gold.
But yes, it was doing school plays. Found a local theatre school to where I live. Joined that for a couple of years, about a year, I'd say, and then I went to this part-time drama school in East London. It was called Identity Drama School. And that's when I just that's when I first got a reality check, because I'd come from school plays, being that guy in school, like, oh yeah, Mr. Actor in school, thinking I'm the shit. Sorry, I'm swearing, man. Sorry.
We'll bleep that out.
Thinking I'm the guy, thinking I'm the stuff. And then I was thrown into this drama school with people who were my age, but they were actors and they'd been on TV and they'd done stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, like, I'm not that guy. I'm not as incredible as I thought I was, because I was comparing myself to people who weren't really interested in drama or acting. And now I'm in a class full of this incredible talent. But it was such an incredible experience, because I learned so much from the tutors who were teaching us, but also from just watching people in my class do their scene and their mannerisms and the way they performed and the way they even spoke about acting as if it was a viable career and that was something that they were going to do. And that just kind of normalized it for me, just having these conversations, hearing that on a regular basis, just like, oh yeah, you think you might book that job and you might be away for 6 months. Oh yeah, cool, man, sick. Like, wow, this guy's really sort of in tune with himself and the way he views himself and his beliefs. So that kind of normalized it for me. But it can be quite scary as well, obviously, traveling, I come from West London, traveling to the other side in East London twice a week, and still sort of studying at school as well at the same time. But that was an opportunity that I got just because I'd pushed through for whatever, doing the other drama school. Then this opportunity arose that came to me, and I feel like everything that I've done, I can trace back to a moment where I was just like, oh, I tried that thing that one time, and then this opportunity came to me, and I took that opportunity. But then the next one didn't come to me. But then because I took the other one, I failed in this one, I met that person who'd recommended that one, and so it all leads, and it's all like interconnected for me and all meant to be. Which also goes back to how I handle rejection. Okay, cool, it's not meant to be, but I've learned from this time, and these people know me now, and I feel like I've shown myself in a good light, so that if they know what I can bring to it now, if they've got a character for next time or whatever. So that's just how I got involved. I'd searched night and day for opportunities, for agents, people I can send headshots to and pictures and resumes and whatever. It was like an obsession. It was an obsession.
That's amazing. It just kind of shows what kind of drive you need to succeed at something. You have to really be passionate about something. Like, acting sounds groundless, so. But you've obviously you've done a lot of grinding.
Yeah, I think we see the glamour, the glitz and the glamour. It's like for footballers, right? Oh, it's glamorous life because you're watching. Look at Ronaldo's house or Kevin De Bruyne's house or whatever. But those Premier League players maybe make up 1% of the whole of footballers in the UK. Like, there are people who are working 9 to 5s and then they're playing a game in the evening. Grassroots level, whatever level. It's not glamorous until you get to the top, whatever the top is perceived to be. But that takes years and years of hard work and putting in that practice. Like Jamie Vardy's story, for example. I don't know if you know about the footballer for Leicester City.
No.
So he was playing non-league. He was playing non-league football up until the age of, I'm going to get this wrong, but I want to say like 25, 26.
Wow.
He was playing non-league football.
Wow.
And then he got bought by Leicester for £1 million when they were in either the Championship or League One. And everyone's like, oh my God, why are they spending £1 million on a non-league player? And then he helped them get promoted, and then he won the Premier League with them. And he was the top scorer in the league as well, I think, that season. Or he got the new record for the most goals in consecutive games or whatever. And it's just like, what a story. It's just a normal guy who's just put that work in, and he's been given a chance and he took it. But, you know, you can't just see that 1 year of him winning the league. You have to look at the whole bigger picture of how many years he's grinded and suffered and probably thought that he's never going to make it to playing professional football, let alone Premier League, and let alone winning it. So that's a story as well. And yeah, be inspired by other people and their journeys. Don't feel like this is something that only you are going through or you're experiencing. Like, be inspired. Look at other people in a good light, and take from that. And don't compare yourself. Take the good stuff. If you're looking at the bad thing and you're drawing comparisons, be inspired.
Right. Next question. I think I want to ask you about calisthenics, your training. Can you talk to us about that? Because the normal route is people do the kind of bodybuilding workout, they do a muscle group a day, that type of stuff, right? So you've gone down a different route, bodyweight training, and I've seen some of your stuff on Instagram. Plus, obviously, I've seen you in person. So, how did that come about? Why did you choose that route? How's that journey been?
Some say that after giving me a massage, your hands hurt from all my tensed muscles. So,
is it true?
No. I started going gym at maybe like 16, 17, just because I wanted to, like, you know, do something productive, and I was just doing cardio or whatever. And then you start using the lighter weights, and then you start doing weights. So I was doing weights for a long time, but I had this thing in my head like, oh, I don't want to get big because obviously I'm an actor and I want to play, you know, different roles. I don't want to get big. So I was doing the same weights and the same exercises and the same things for years and years. And I was just getting so bored, and I just thought, okay, do you know what? I'm going to go up in weight and whatever. And I started going up in weight. I started feeling stronger, but it was just so boring. Like, for me personally, sorry if any bodybuilders are watching, I respect your sport and your grind. But just doing the same thing in the mirror, doing a set of the whatever. It's just picking up weights and dumbbells, whatever. And then it was in lockdown. Obviously, I became reliant on that as well to, you know, get a pump and look good and feel good. And I need to go to the gym. I need to bench today. I need to do some weights or whatever. But don't get me wrong, I was loving my bodyweight exercises as well, like push-ups and pull-ups I was still doing, and tricep dips. But then it was during lockdown, I was going for a walk, and I saw this guy by a tree trunk, and he had these two gymnastic rings looped over the tree trunk, and he was doing like dips on that, and I was just like, wow, that's so cool. Firstly, visually, that looks incredible, and I'm sure the strength required, as I later found out, is quite a high threshold to have to be able to do that. But also, he's not relying on a gym being open, or he's not relying on having some weights at home. He's just using his own body weight to get stronger, and I just thought that concept was like, that's insane. I went home, like, maybe not that day or that week, though I definitely ordered like a pair of gymnastic rings, and just went to my local park, and there was like a pull-up bar there, and I jumped up on the ring, and I just thought, oh, the way the guy did it, he just went down and up, and I was just shaking for like a good 15, 20 seconds, and I was doing, like, in my mind, it was like the deepest dip I'd ever done, right? And I recorded it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going so low, and I looked at the footage back, and I was going just like that. I was just doing that, and I was just like, oh my God, like, if I'm getting this much muscle engagement just from this one exercise, this is incredible. And because it's a different type of training, you have to always switch it up and shock your body and all that. Yes. But it's fun. It's so fun being outside. You're not inside. You're not caring about whatever anyone else is doing, what weight they're using, or who's using the 20 plate or whatever. Or in my case, the sixes. But it was just, you're just doing it in your own time, and I just thought that was so cool. And I think this was as well because of the added sort of depressing circumstances of the lockdown, being outside in fresh air and doing something so active and progressive there, that just gave me such a massive boost of like serotonin, everything. And going home and the next day waking up and feeling like everything had been worked, and your core, especially at the start. Because I was fixated on abs in the gym, like, oh, I need to get a good ab pump, and I need to feel the burn the next day, otherwise I haven't worked out. And just like, I need to target this muscle here, then I'll do a couple of reps for this muscle here, then I'm going to work this knuckle, then I'm going to work that knuckle. But do you know what I mean? You get so obsessed, but then you do these exercises and you're working like 3-4 muscles at once, and it's crazy. And being able to sort of progress, and I take my rings to the gym now as well, because I like to do some sort of added weight stuff on it, which makes me a total hypocrite for what I've just said. But I get these bigger guys. Sometimes people come to me, oh, what are these rings? Yeah, what are you doing dips on that? I'm like, yeah, jump in if you want to try, jump in. They're like, yeah, cool. I was doing weighted dips on the tricep thing, 60 kg, so I'll do a couple on this. Yeah, cool, man, be my guest. And they'll jump up and they'll shake and they can't do anything. And they're just, nah, man, that's different. Now you're built different. And it's not. It's just time and practice, and just knowing that you've progressed, and that feeling, just knowing that you've, from day one to where you are now, it's a journey, right? It's a ongoing journey, a process. It's not like, oh, I've completed it. It's like, cool, I've got this progression to get to the next exercise. Like if you want in the gym, if your goal is to bench 100 kg, you're going to work up to 60 to 70, then 80, then 90. But with this, if you want to do a dip and you can't do a dip, there's no shortcut. You have to do a different progressive exercise. Maybe you have to do tricep dips, the solid with the fixed bar, or you have to just work on some core holds at the top, and then slowly you'll be able to do a dip eventually. So that's the fun as well, just knowing that these exercises lead to another exercise, which will lead to another exercise, which will lead to another exercise, and you're constantly evolving, constantly growing, and just having so much fun with it as well.
I think you've definitely sold it to me, especially. I'm gonna go out, buy some rings and give that.
Calm down, give me a shout, man. Calm down, yeah.
Yeah, then we can film it. It'll be hilarious. You can use it.
Yeah, for sure.
You can use it as content for gym fails.
No. We're not about that life, man. We're not about that life. Not about that. We can start a new series of like one of those BuzzFeeds ones.
Okay, so what one piece of advice would you give the younger generation who are listening to this?
Wow. A piece of advice I'd give is don't feel rushed to figure out who you are, but also be open to who you are, and don't try and don't feel like you have to be someone. Just take your time and figure it out. It will come to you, and when it does, embrace it, because it's wonderful. It might be weird, but it's wonderfully weird, and it's what makes you you. And the more unique people we have in this world, the better.
Amazing. Well done. That was a good one.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you, Uncle.
Where can people connect with you? Where can they get in touch?
So I'm on Instagram and Twitter, the same handle. It's just my name, Viraj_Juneja. Should I spell it?
That's fine.
VIR.
I'll put it in the description box.
Oh, wow. You sure?
Yeah.
You just shut me down there. Like, yeah, you don't need to.
I'll
do that.
Put it all in the description box, so they'll be able to connect with you. And what can they watch of yours?
So if you look at my Instagram bio, there's a YouTube link there to my own short film that I made. I wrote it, I directed it, I produced it, made the tea, did everything, and I acted in it as well. It's called FUDDU, and it's a little like an 8-minute short film based on me. It's about a Punjabi guy who meets his girlfriend's parents for the first time, but he doesn't actually speak Punjabi, and he's not Sikh, but she's told her parents that he can speak Punjabi and he is Sikh, so he tries, and there's a horrendous comic misunderstanding in that. And also, so the aforementioned film, Get Duked, it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch that. And got another feature that we've just shot over the past 5 weeks. Hopefully it'll be coming out next year. We've got another week on that in October, but that's called Little English, so watch out for that. And I'm sure if you follow me, you'll see me posting about it non-stop, so yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that chat, and it's been the most, the funniest, hilarious chat that I've had so far. So thank you for that.
Thank you, man. I've tried not to make too many jokes, thought we'd keep it a bit serious.